Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Book Leads Impactful Books for Life and Leadership. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jaramillo. This podcast series is about getting to the books that have impacted the lives and the networks of people that I've worked with, people that I've met, that I haven't met. So these are great leads that I'll be interviewing on those books. I want to get to the books that have contributed the most to who they are as a worker, as a business owner, as a professional, as a person just going through life. All those worlds intersect. So I cover three categories of books in this series. The first category is where they're sharing a book with me that I haven't read. The second category is where we're both discussing a book we have read, whether specifically for this episode or we've read it in our past lives before the series. And then the third category is when I have the author and or publisher on to discuss the book that they want to share with the masses. In this episode today, I have Oksana Yusupova. With over 2 decades of experience since beginning her career in 2001, Oksana is dedicated to understanding and helping others navigate their emotions. As a psychotherapist, she specializes in emotion-focused therapy, working with children, families, and adults. Her areas of expertise include treating emotional trauma, behavioral and social issues, anxiety, depression, and life changes. She holds a master's degree in psychology and offers a range of psychotherapy services, including individual, family, and couple. In addition to one-on-one sessions, she leads workshops, events, and courses on emotions and emotional intelligence for schools, universities, and organizations. She's also a content creator and speaker, and you can find her on her YouTube channel, Focus on Emotions, on that platform, and hear her as a guest speaker on Spotify. As an author, she has written a book for children and teenagers about emotions titled Focus on Emotions, The Kid's Guide to Themselves. And as you can see, as you've heard here, she's passionate about emotions, the brain, and psychology, and she explores the powerful connection between all these areas. And Oksana had heard about this series, reached out about sharing a book that has impacted her. We got to learning about each other's work and experiences, and it just made sense to have her on for a conversation. So, Oksana, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, John. Hi, and happy to be here.
And Oksana, I always start off, who are you today? I've broken down the areas in which you work, but what is your typical work look like with your clients? There's so many areas that you cover. So what is the typical work that you do? What does that look like?
So I'm a child and family psychotherapist, and I work with families, with children in emotional focused therapy. So I'm all about emotions in my work to help clients achieve their goals, help with their issues, with trauma. We worked based on emotions. I'm passionate about sharing this knowledge, and I see that how I see emotions, it's different what is usually people can find in books about emotions and emotional intelligence. So it makes me dive deeper in this topic and provide more and more types of how can I services, how can I share this information with people. So all about emotions from different perspective.
So when you say the way that you look at emotions is very different from what's typically out there in books and publications and journals, what is it about the way that you view it that makes it different, that provides maybe a different lens or perspective on how to look at emotions?
Yes, this is not my words. This is what I receive from people with whom I share it. So in books, usually you can find that if you're angry, okay, it's normal, but take a deep breath, count from 1 to 10, and go back to happy and relaxed state. So, and I see it is the perspective on emotions, like something that bothering you, something that you need to avoid, something that you need to stop. For example, you need to avoid inappropriate emotions like anger, jealous. You need to be like this, like this. And from my perspective, I see again, because I work with people for years and I see benefits of emotions. For example, if you're angry, we can dive deeper and we can unlock the power of energy that will help the person to achieve their real passion, real goal. So underneath the anger behavior, there are a lot of energy which like show the person that you need to do this, you need to do this, and be aligned with yourself. And we can discuss any emotion, and in each emotion I can see these benefits. Okay,
Mm.
yes, we can see negative side, but we need it because these emotions show us something very important. And this I see different. We don't need to stop, we don't need to always be relaxed. Sometimes we need to be in our sadness,
Yeah.
and it's normal, it's healthy. It's about being in line with our inner self, not to be like social appropriate role. So this I see a difference.
Yeah, I love so much of what you said because whether it's through this series talking to different people about their traumas, emotions, whether it's what we've seen come out of the global pandemic, people expressing their mental health needs or the pandemic exacerbating that need. Um, it's interesting how, and even myself, my own experience with mental health and anxiety, it's interesting how all the years where I tried to suppress it, try to hide it, try to walk away from it, try to pretend maybe it wasn't there, versus
Mhm,
understanding what it is, tapping into it, and understanding that in some way, shape, or form, and just for myself, it's a tool.
mhm,
So for me, when I feel that anxiety, it's because I need something. So it can be intellectual, it can be working out. I love the way that you mentioned energy. For me, that's what that is. For me, I've painted that picture of the way it works for me is like this energy that's just kind of boiling inside me and I
mhm,
need to release it. And when it's been at its worst, which it hasn't gotten to in a long time because I realize what it is, it's that I need to seek something intellectual, seek something physical, seek something into relational, like a conversation. For me, it's all about energy that needs to find its way out of my body. So I love the fact that you bring up energy, and I love the fact that you say that we need to stay with our emotions because just from personal experience, I've seen that there's no benefit to pretending it's not there, to pretending that it doesn't exist, to pretending
mhm,
that you're stronger than it and you can overcome it. So I try to be intentional about the language that I use when it comes to anxiety, where I say I'm not coping with it, but I'm just living with it. It's a part of
mhm,
me. And I think it's a
mhm,
part of our primitive wiring where it serves a purpose. And I love the fact that you're saying, aside from not pushing it aside, tap into that energy so you can understand what it is you need because it's not going to go away, right?
mhm. Yes, it's correct. So your feedback is just very important for me. Thank you so much for sharing. And this is how um, I found it myself. I start sharing my thoughts with people, and people say, "Yes, look, this is this piece of puzzle that I didn't have before. I don't need to ignore it. I don't need to play some role. I just need to accept it." Here, sometimes I use this metaphor to understand emotions. It's like a little child. Sometimes child need something, and sometimes they can be very noisy to get what they want. The same with our emotions. Sometimes if we ignore our emotions, it become louder and louder. And people are stubborn too, so they can use headphones, they can ignore it, and it just grow in a conflict inside. That's why we need to get rid of our imaginary headphones and turn our head towards the child and speak to it, speak to them,
I
speak
love
to
that. I
our.
love that metaphor. That's powerful because yeah, I have kids and that's the way it is. If you kind of say, okay, I'm going to let them throw their tantrum or I'm going to let them just keep talking or whatever it may be, you're right. They just turn up the volume. Whereas if you turn towards them, look at them, ask them questions, what's what's the nature of your business kind of thing. You learn how to resolve it and how to move forward. Oksana, when it comes to you to understand how you got here, where did your career begin? I like to go back to whether you went into university, whether you went right into the workplace. What did those first steps look like? And then what did your career path look like to now?
Yeah, it was interesting because when I was 16, I had a dream and I work to achieve it. I want to be a fashion designer. This is all I want to be. I love to spend times in my room to prepare to it. But then when I realized that my art skills are not enough to be accepted to this program, uh, my mom's friend shared that like she was an angel who redirect me from this my previous goal, and she showed to my mom that this psychotherapy department in the university where I entered and where I studied and where all transformation started. So it was very powerful to see how everything start changes. I was 17, it was like very young, and my mindset completely shift. Then for years working in this field, I tried to go away. I always was looking to some other more profitable areas of business. I tried different type of business, and then life again turned me back again and again and again. So, and I just accepted, and I realized that I'm here. Um, it is hard to work with children, honestly, and with teenagers. Not all psychotherapists prefer to work with children. Usually they want to work with 14 plus.
Hmm.
But I work with children and teenagers, and sometimes I feel tired. And I'm thinking that something wrong. I cannot be here anymore. I need to change my type of services, what I offer. And then again, so I'm just listen to all the signals from people, from life, and I hear them. And that's why I'm here, even if it was not easy. And again, working with children needs, for me, I need to be very flexible, very creative, very active. It's harder than you speak just with an adult.
Mm, yeah.
That's why I'm mom, and I am an immigrant. We like a lot of things happen, and sometimes I'm thinking that maybe I need to change my work and I need to choose something easier for me. But
You always
maybe,
get drawn back.
yeah, sometimes, and every time this call back from people. I got this request from people, from organizations. For example, I decided to change when we immigrate to Canada. I live in Canada. And when we immigrate, I decided to, again, find my job here in other area. But then one lady just invited me to provide workshop for parents, immigrants, how to adapt, how to help children adapt in new country, and
Mm,
to share my knowledge. And for me, this science was like very important, and I understood, so maybe I'm here because this knowledge people need, and maybe psychology choose me to be here, not I choose psychology. It's like
you
it's like,
never know. You never know. You're calling certain things that you're drawn to, and you're like, no, this isn't for me. And things happen, and you just go back to what it is. Again, you're calling. And maybe it may be that you're just so good with those audiences, with those messages that it's like your purpose. It's your calling in this life.
Mhm.
Oksana, when it came to your mom's friend who suggested the psychology program, why do you think she did that? Did she see tendencies? Did she see inquisitiveness that you had, curiosity that you had about that field? Were they in that field? What was it? What might it have been that called her to suggest that maybe this program was right for you? What do you think that is?
Uh, I don't think she knows me well to analyze what is good. I think it was like just a lucky accident because in this university we were first year students. They just create this department, and we were first students. And we were lucky to be first students because all best we received. Like first child, you receive all love from all relatives. This is what I experienced. I think again, she was like an angel who just came, showed direction, and then go to continue her own life. For me,
It's
it
like
was
the
like,
right place, the right time, the right
mhm.
message.
Yes, yes.
So when it comes to you and your work, when you're doing your studies, where was it? Why was it that you decided to? It seems like the bulk of your focus is um, young people. What was it about that segment that you wanted? It may have been that you were drawn to it somehow, intentionally, or it just happened. Another, coincidence that that's the way that it happened. How did you happen to come to focus on young people when it came to psychotherapy more than other groups?
Yes, I think it's a coincidence again, and people's feedback. What I hear from people, and it started again very early when I was a student. I have a nephew, and at that time he was a newborn. And when I was first year psychology student in university, I had a little nephew. And when we learn all those processes and development stages, I can see it on him, and I can maybe practice something. And it was interesting. And people start telling me that, my son is listen to you, but he is not listen to any adults except mom and daddy. And this type of signals, like I have connections with children. This is something what is very easy for me. And then years after, I understand that it's not easy for everyone. Some people avoid to be with children. Some people cannot speak with children. And for me, again, children, teenagers, it's very easy. It doesn't take additional efforts.
Hmm.
So I'm here, I listen to them, I can notice all this um, tensions, I can feel where I need to stop, where I need to laugh, how can I ask. And I got this feedback from one parent, another parent, and then years by years, I understood. So, okay, maybe I'm here, and it's good that I'm here.
Yeah, you just have that. It's like a proclivity. You're just, some people are just meant for certain things. Um, and then the other piece that I wanted to ask before we move on to the next question, where in your journey, whether education or now into a working psychotherapist, where did your thoughts on emotions, what we talked about before, that it's not about suppressing it, it's not about cleaning out of your head, it's about addressing it full on, staying in those emotions. When did you begin to really refine that mindset in your journey? When did you really get to that point where this is the way you looked at emotions and it just clicked that we should no longer be trying to suppress it, but in fact live and thrive in it?
It's a wonderful question. I'm thinking about it right now and reflect back how it was. So maybe this the final vision uh, I had when I was writing my book, and it just published in this summer. So it's very new book, and when I in the process when I was writing it, I again read literature, I was open to other approaches to know why this book, why do I need to write this book, why it can be, what make it stand out in other books. So this vision I got just maybe this year, but it started from very, very beginning. Again, going back to my university years, our professors, teachers, they taught us to be aware of our emotions. We have a lot of practical classes, and they taught us how to feel groups, how to feel people. We were very cautious about our emotions, and we learned how to decode them. Maybe what I feel, I need to decode to understand what this person feels, for example. And then from the very beginning of my career, I was leading groups for children and teenagers. I call them differently, like development, developing your mind. Then I named it developing emotional intelligence, and I led these classes to develop emotions. And last year, I had a very, I can say, successful course. I led it for families, separately for parents and for children. It was online course for children from 6 to 12, I believe, years old, where we learned information about emotions, and again, from brain and body perspective, not only emotions. And the more I dive deeper, the more I understood that here we have something that was not okay for myself. I didn't understand what, but I felt like I cannot recommend this book for my clients, for example, because it doesn't cover all subjects. I would add here this and this, but I cannot add it. And I felt like it's wrong just to teach children to manage their emotions, just to teach how to stop them. So working in these two areas, psychotherapy, when I work deeper with clients, adults and children, and leading workshops, courses. I was invited to school to provide this type of workshops. I work at school with children. I work in small groups with children, and I was always like passionate about it. I try to like combine all this knowledge and make it psychoeducational post in my social media or video on my YouTube channel or wrote articles. So I try to share this knowledge when I see it powerful, when I see how paying attention to emotion can be beneficial in solving conflicts. For example, very easy. If you see your child, like for example, it's a nighttime, your child is tired and they said, buy me this. And when the parents say no, doesn't matter what will be after. No, it equals conflict. It's immediately start a conflict. The child cries, parents become more anxious, nervous, angry. So paying attention to these small details in real life. When, for example, I explain to parents, try to avoid the word no. Just avoid this word. Use mirroring technique. You want me to buy you this new doll. It's an interesting, amazing wish. I wish when I was your age, I will have the same wish, for example. And during this 1 minute, you will help your child to feel that my desires are accepted. I'm here, my parents see me. And then you can redirect them, again, avoiding the word no. So let's think, maybe you can put it in your wish list to Santa Claus. to your Christmas, to maybe we can put it in your wish list to your birthday, or maybe you can buy it to your own money. Or let's think how you can get it. These small details are so helpful. And I see it in real life, and I try to spread the word with this knowledge. It's very easy, it's simple, but we as a parents, we need to be flexible. We need to not to be very strict. We need to be flexible in our mindset, and
Yeah.
we try to share it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So
Mhm.
it's like, different phases, and, they're always asking for something. And, when I was growing up, my parents were more, matter of fact. No, that's not going to happen. Where I subconsciously understand the power of just stopping a conversation instead. I'm not saying I've perfected it. I'm not saying I have it as beautifully laid out as you do, but I've gotten to this point where, just saying no and stopping the conversation doesn't get you anywhere.
Mhm.
If I do say no, which, it's just a natural inclination to do that, to say that, I explain why. Or we have, it's like debates, it's negotiations. I want them to understand that it's not just a flat no for no reason, but there's a reasoning behind it. So I want to get them thinking about what they're requesting, considering what they have, having the gratitude for what they have. So it's interesting
Mhm.
how you speak about how you can't just, it's not just black or white. There's a little more to it. um, and some people may say, no, maybe that's too much. Maybe you're coddling the kid, this and that. But I want to get them in the habit of conversations, even in little
Mhm.
moments where they want something and I know it's not going to happen. I'll give them reasons why it's not going to happen. But I want to get them in that mindset of conversations, understanding why something's not coming your way. Maybe making a better point why you should have it, coming up with
Mhm.
alternatives. Even as young as they are, there's a way to put it in such a way for the 8-year-old, for the 5-year-old, even the 2-year-old. She's barely putting together sentences, but you can speak in their language about
Mhm.
alternatives and just getting them to think. Because I think just saying no and leaving it at that, again, I'm not perfect. Sometimes it does play out that way, continues the conversation. Because I my responsibility as a parent is, it's almost like to avoid the bullshit that's going on today, where it's like someone's trying to talk to you, tell you their point of view. No, I'm not listening to you.
Mhm.
I want to get them in that mindset that it's worth a conversation. Even if you know you're not going to get what you want in the end, it's worth the conversation to go back and forth. I'm not the bad guy. I'm not trying to ruin your fun time. I'm not trying to ruin your good time. When I tell you no running in the house, if you fall, that's why. I'm trying to protect you.
Mhm.
I just think that opens it up. They understand consequences in a way that they don't experience the consequence when it happens, but their mindset is, okay, if I do this, this might happen. If I go down this route, that might happen. And that agility of their mindset is so much better if you allow for that room, like you said, instead of just no.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and you touched another side. I just quick explain it. Sometimes I see it's very hard for parents to accept this idea that they need to change their mindset, their habits, their reactions. And sometimes I hear it from parents like, why do I need to change? Work with my
Mm.
child and help them to change. But it doesn't work like this.
Yeah, I'm not a perfect parent by any stretch of the
Nobody is perfect.
imagination, but I recognize that the times that my kids are going through now and growing into later are much different than the times where I grew up. Times where I grew up were much simpler. There was no technology, there was no tablets, there was no streaming media, there was no instant gratification. You had to wait for things. So I do my best to prepare them for that so that they understand just how to view things, how to think about things, because it's just I think when people say, why can't they change, maybe they're thinking I'm handling this the way that my parents a generation ago said it. They said no, or they grounded me, or they sent me to my room, they put me in timeout. But times are changing. So the way that I believe like the way that you interact with them sets the tone for how they go out into the world. So I'm
Mhm.
not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm always curious about how I can open up a conversation, especially so there's a little more trust between us because the world that they're going into, I don't even recognize, and by
Yeah.
the time they're 5 years out from now, 10 years out from now, everything's growing so exponentially. To just shut them down and not get them thinking in certain ways to me is kind of scary.
Yes, yes. I totally understand you because I'm a mom too, and I always have this conversation when we speak about screen time and internet and limitations and everything.
Yeah. Oksana, when it comes to you, so now having spoken about your career, getting an insight into how you view emotions and why you view them that way, does it make sense the work that you're doing now? Does it make sense that you're doing this based on who you were as a child? Like, how do you reconcile who you were as a child to the work that you're doing now? Can you reconcile that? Does it make sense?
It's very interesting. In 5 days, I will have my book launch presentation, and I have a teacher who is helping me on my performance speech, and we work on one speech. And again, there I touch this topic: how I saw how was I as a child. As a child, I was very shy, and I prefer others to speak on my behalf. I was the youngest in the family, so my parents, my older sisters, they were for me like the best. How people can be. They were the smartest. My sister, for example, they used to write essays on for myself for school assignments. So I really had this maybe lower self-esteem
Mhm.
because I saw them like perfect. And but life changed and I changed myself from shy person who let others to write on my behalf and speak on my behalf. I wrote my book. I was brave enough to make my thoughts, my vision on emotions visible for others. I published this book. It is open to order on Amazon. And for me, it was a huge identity shift. And now, what I do right now, I'm guest here on your interesting podcast. I'm trying my new skills, developing my new skills in public speaking. So comparing with who I was in my childhood, it's totally different, Oksana, now.
Yeah. But I mean, the same values, I would say, right? Or is it mostly just you're able to express who you've always been? It's more the expression.
I think now I have support from my husband and my children with and their support helped me believe in myself and again be brave enough to be visible.
Beautiful. Oksana, what does leadership mean to you? How do you
Mhm.
define it? What does great leadership look like?
I understand that there are so many types of leadership and so many different leaders, and they are all essential, they are all important, and we need all of them. But for example, about myself, I'm not this type of leader who feels very comfortable in front of others in the center of public attention. But still, I cannot say that I'm not a leader because I have inside some passions that I need to share it with the world. So I am a leader, but not this type how I saw it before.
Mhm.
That's why I see leadership. It's this when you align with your inner self, when you feel your passion, and when you cannot hide it, and when you just following this inner passion, let your passion pull you.
Yeah.
And then people naturally will gather it around you. People for whom these ideas are relevant, people who believes like I see emotions, who accept this idea. And it's like naturally I became a leader and I have people around me, my people,
Mhm.
with whom we are on the same page.
Oksana, now we can get into the book you want to discuss. Can you introduce the book that you want to discuss?
Of course, I have it here. So the book that I want to discuss today is Limitless, book written by Jim Kwik. This book is about the brain, about psychology, about developing our brain, developing our skills, how to learn faster, how to improve your memory, how to achieve your goals faster if we know the key to help our brain helps us. So I love this book and I'm happy to the chance to speak today about it.
How did you come across the book itself?
So I am a member of Mind Valley, if you know what is it.
What is it?
Mind Valley.
Okay.
They're,
Okay.
like they provide some different courses. You can buy membership there. So I bought membership there because I heard very good feedback from people that I know. And I found Jim Kwik there as a leader of quest about the brain. For me, it was important because that time I decided to I want to say translate, but maybe not translate, to start my new path in my career in English, because before it was everything in Russian. So as I learned English and I need to learn more words, I need to learn hard words because it's psychology and I need to work with clients.
Yeah.
I need to figure it out how can I do it faster than usual, because it was like I didn't have a lot of time. I need to dive here deeper immediately and be on the same level as other psychotherapists in North America. It was my big goal.
Yeah.
So, and I try to practice this tools that Jim shared in his quest. I saw improvement in my memory, how I can recall some more complicated terminology. At the same time, I start work on my speech performance, how to talk without notes and everything. And at the end of the course, I bought this book. And in the book, the course is just part of this book, just about
Okay.
memory. But here, I found much more information about the brain, again, about how to learn faster.
Since you have the book in front of you, can you give an overview of the chapters in the book? I'm curious in a book like that, how it is that Kwik lays out the chapters, what kind of path he takes the reader on. Can you give
Of,
some examples of kind of like the process or the path that he lays out for the reader?
of course, yes, it will be my pleasure. So the book is about unlocking your full potential, what brain has, and the first part about free your mind. So he's talking about becoming limitless. And again, for me, it's what I do with my clients in psychotherapy. We work on some limitations what we have in our head, based on family rules, based on society, and we just clean all this limitation to be aligned with ourselves. So for me, it was like very interesting to read how he explained it. So free your mind, limitless mindset. So he talked about belief system. It's more about psychology, and he explained in his book a lot of research, psychological research, and it reminds me what I learned in university, some names what I didn't hear for years, I saw them here, and for me it was like very familiar, and I love this energy that it's not about only his opinion, his thoughts. So he shared information from other professionals. Then limitless motivation, about purpose, energy, small simple steps, flow, how we can unlock it and be motivated. Limitless methods. So here he talk about focus, study, memory, speed reading, and thinking. So memory, it's only one chapter, what I learned in this quest. And then limitless momentum, limitless at work, understanding your brain animal, brain nutrition. Yeah, he talked about a lot about nutrition, what we need to do, about our routine to help our brain be limitless. And how artificial intelligence can enhance human intelligence.
Oh God.
This is like additional part.
Oh boy. So Oksana, what you had spoken of exercises that you utilize to, I believe you said like learn maybe more speech practices, your process to help you in that area. Can you give some examples of, maybe there was something else you used aside from that, or can you give a few examples of exercises you utilized based on what you read in the book?
Of course, yes. For example, one of my favorite, I don't know how it called here, I name it map technique. So you are creating in your mind like a path. For example, in my case, I imagined our driveway, stairs, door, how I need to go from outside to my table where I work right now. And for example, you imagine this path and you create 10 pieces where you imaginary put some information there. For example, driveway, it's the first piece. And when I need to memorize my speech, for example, first paragraph is about why do we need to develop emotional intelligence in children. I create an image for this chapter. For example, I imagine child and parents water the flower in his head, for example, why we need to help them develop their brain. And in my imagination, I put this child with parents in my driveway. So I have one slide, one picture. Then, for example, second one is a garage door. I put something on the garage door, what is in my second chapter. Again, using images for my second chapter, I was asking myself, what is about? What is the main idea I want people to take from this chapter?
Mhm.
I created. I'm very creative. It's easy for me to play with my imagination. I put it on my garage door, and then each 8 more steps while I'm here on my workplace. And when I put it here on my in my imagination,
Mhm.
I use this map when I record the video for my YouTube channel, for example, without notes, or where I'm performing and I want to perform without notes. In my head, it's very easy. First, I stand on the driveway. What do I need to say here to people? I need to explain why do we need to nurture our children emotional intelligence, why we need to help them, what benefits. Then it helps me to not lose the main idea and be natural, to not,
Yeah.
because before that I try to memorize word by word when I type, when I prepare my speech, and I found it's
Yeah.
hard to say what I see it's beautifully written.
Mhm.
So this is my first maybe that I practice, and what I do every day, not every day, every speech.
Any other ones that stand out? Any other exercises?
Another exercise I can share, again, it's using your imagination. I help my daughter to prepare for her science and history exam. When I love something, I will always share it with my friends, with my family members during our breakfast, family time, everywhere during while we're in the car driving somewhere. When I see it's very interesting, I share it with everyone. So I share this method with my daughter, and I help her, like guide her through it. For example, the same, but using your body. You imagine you put something on the top of your head. For example, we learned something about history facts. So this is your history facts. For example, your head, this about this question. And in your head, you imagine you put something on your top of the head, on your ears, on your forehead. It is fun. We had so much fun when we imagined it. And then when she had exam, she said that it was helpful because she realized what question, what part of her body this question about, and what small characters are there. It's
Mhm.
very fun and interesting and useful, not overwhelming, how it was when we need to read and try to memorize everything.
Yeah, I wish I had something like that when I was a kid. My study habits, I mean, I committed the time, but I didn't have the right process, I would say. I did well in school, but it was trying to memorize things. So it's good that she has that kind of practice. As someone who gives speeches now, I think that visualization also helps. Instead of moving from slide to slide and trying to remember word for word what your script is, instead just realizing, okay, I'm at this certain point. This is the topic. You got that visual. Okay, that's what it is, and just speaking more naturally. So I think that's something that so many of us can utilize because, I think our storytelling in general by default is not strong. It's something that you really do have to refine and not perfect. I don't think there's anything perfect, but at least work in that direction where you feel more natural and you're conveying the value and the information that you want. So I think those are great exercises.
Mhm. Yes, and with the little one, I have an 8 years old son, and when he was younger, so I use the same when I helped him to be ready to his social studies uh, test. But we didn't use imagination because it is hard for 7. He was 7 at that time. We draw it. We draw boxes like houses, and in houses we draw it again. what image you can create if we talk about this. And he
Hmm.
said, for example, family holding hands. Okay, let's draw a very simple drawing. But again, it is fun, interesting, creative, and it teaches our children to be flexible and to use different approach how to memorize. Of course, you can memorize just reading and repeating, but we all know that it's how work our short-term memory, and you will forget everything soon. But if you draw it, if you more creative, you will have it longer.
Yeah, I love this idea, the concept of this book, only because, there's debates on how much of our brain we actually use. There's numbers that
Mhm.
are thrown out there, and people say, no, that's not the number, that we only use a certain percentage. But I mean, obviously, I think we're so habituated in what we do on a regular basis. Get up, get the kids ready, get them to school, get to work, work on work, get back, get the kids from school, whatever it may be. I feel like our we have our days are so habituated down to a routine that there is, unless we make intentional time to be creative, to really tap into other areas outside of those habits, I think so much of that can go to waste.
Mhm. Of course, I agree with you.
We lose so much.
Mhm.
Uh, Oksana, before we begin wrapping up, can you give a little more of your book? You said it has come out or will come out this summer.
Uh, in 4 days,
Oh, okay.
this
Okay.
I will have my book launch presentation, and after the day it will be open on Amazon to order. I will be happy to show you my
Oh,
book.
absolutely. That's what I was going to ask. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
oh, can you see it? I don't know.
Yeah, right there. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So the book is called Focus on Emotions, The Kid's Guide to Themselves. The book is about emotions, and I use this compass on a book cover because this is how I see emotions. I see them as a compass. And when we look at this compass, we understand where we need to go. For example, if I feel angry and not comfortable with this person, my compass show I need to go other direction or say to something to this person. Maybe we can work, make this our relationship better. So we don't need to repress what we feel. If we have this compass and we aware of it and we see their directions and signals,
Mm,
we will figure it out our talents. We will be aligned with ourselves. And children, it is so sad that at the age of at the in the age of maybe 8 years old, I can see that they are going back from themselves. They are losing their connection with themselves, with their true self. And they decided to play some social role. For me, it's a it's a terrible situation what can be. And what I do in my book, I try to show the way back to themselves.
mm,
That's why it calls the Kid's Guide to Themselves. Why I said at the age of 8 years old, because this is the crucial age where children try to separate from parents,
hmm.
want to be this age from you're not a child but you're not teenager, between you want to be an adult, you want to use um, all, for example, internet,
Yeah,
abilities what
technology.
internet can offer us, but and they start to lose in themselves. That's why this book is for age 8 plus, because before I see children are more aligned with themselves, more maybe stubborn
Yeah.
to hear themselves. But then social system, school system can redirect them. And my way to save this connection, and my goal is to save this connection. So in my book, I have one chapter about the brain. And here I have fun exercise, for example, and I have this like fun pictures, exercise how to train your brain, but not do something like memorize something. It's just very easy left, right hemisphere exercise.
Hmm.
When you do one moves with your right part of your body, and other moves with your left part of your body, and then you change it and change it, and it's like physically physical exercise for your brain when we do something with our hands. And I provide here explanation again. I do the tour to our brain. I explain what areas of brain we have. For example, for to understand emotions better, we need to know amygdala is the center of our emotions, which produce emotions. We need to be aware of hippocampus, where all memory stores. For example, how I cope with emotion, it stores in this hippocampus. And when we need to change our reactions, for example, 2 days ago, I worked with a child who was afraid of swimming. And to change this reaction on swimming, we need to go in this hippocampus area. We
Hmm.
need to find this memory and we need to change it. For example, we played with sand tray, we played with toys, and we transform this bad memory into other. And then what is important area of our brain is prefrontal cortex, which is helping us when we need to stop, when we need to breathe, when is amygdala is overreacting and we need to do something. So I am explaining here in this book. I explain to my clients with whom I work. I explain to children in work class, master class, workshops what I lead, because I see it's essential to understand, not to just follow some rules, but how you said you talk with your children, to explain to them, to discuss it, help them understand. And as a psychotherapist, I see benefits from it that, for example, child who has a lot of math issues, and he or she can think that I'm a bad person. But when I explain what is anger about and how it works on brain, they can change their perspective on themselves. Not I'm a bad guy, but this is how it works, and it's normal.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, just to clarify, this really is a book that they can read themselves. I
Yes.
mean, parents can read along with them, but it's more for kids to read than, for instance, a parent trying to understand.
Mhm.
And again, parents can read along as well, but more geared towards to be read by children.
Yes, it's correct. I wrote it for children, especially. That's why I use here. I separate this book in 4 chapters. You can find exercises. So you can find exercise, how to work with your brain, or how to deal with anxiety, for example. You can have this for each chapter. You can see this exercise part. You can see stories, for example, to understand what fears are about. I explained here a story about Sophia and her fear of spider. And I have here just a psychoeducational part when I explain how it works. And for lazy readers, I have bonus for those who doesn't want to read a lot. You can, for each chapter, I provide just a short review for this chapter, and you can read just these 6 pages and you will understand what is the book about. Yes, so this book is for children from age 8 plus, and for parents as well, because what I got feedback from parents that they don't understand how it works either, and they don't understand how to react.
Yeah, I think it's great anytime there are books or even films that explain all of this to kids, because I think what gets us in trouble throughout life is that we're just reacting to things.
Mhm.
There was nothing in my education that prepared. Schools nowadays are much better about kids understanding their emotions, where they are, understanding the various sides of the various perspectives, the various emotions. But we didn't have that. I know I didn't have that when I was a kid. But I think
Mhm.
these manuals that come out for young kids to understand where these emotions are coming from, they're still going to go through it. But if they have that understanding of how biological it is,
Mhm.
and I love the idea of the compass. When I was a kid, it was like, okay, if this person is treating you bad, don't hang out with that person anymore. What you're suggesting with that compass is like, you gravitate away, or you push away from things that may be toxic or unpleasant, whatever it may be, but you seek out, whether it's people, whether it's activities, things that draw you in. So I think that's such a good tool for kids to have, especially again, like I said, the way technology is playing out. I think people are losing that ability to communicate with each other.
Mhm.
So if they're not communicating with other people the way that we used to as much in the past, hopefully this teaches them to understand themselves. Because if you're not going to understand each other, at the very least, and to start with, understand yourself. And I think that'll open up more genuine conversations than mostly everything in technology that is such a facade. You don't really get to the meat of who somebody really is.
Yes, yes, it's true.
Oksana, is there anything that you want to share just in wrapping up? Anything that I might have missed? Anything that I didn't ask about? Anything you have coming up? Anything you want to share? The floor is yours. Please do.
Oh my God, I don't know. So I enjoy this conversation. First of all, it's very easy to speak to you today, and you are very welcoming and supportive host here. So I'm just enjoy this the flow of this conversation. What I want to add, it is very hard. I don't. I
That's
have
okay.
no
I mean,
ideas
if
now.
you have any online events that you have coming up, I mean, show the book one more time. When I share this on my social media on LinkedIn, I'll include the link for your book. So, but anything else that I might have missed, anything that you want to mention, no pressure. It's just that one last instance or moment for whoever I'm talking to share anything that I didn't catch on or I didn't ask about, anything at all.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to share with you my book, and you can find it on Amazon in Canada, US, other countries. Focus on emotions, Kids Guide to Themselves. I will be happy if this book can help you and your children understand each other better. How I said previously, solve conflicts easier when you understand emotions. I will be happy to receive your feedbacks after you read this book. So, this is my first book. I
Congratulations.
already thank you so much, and I already have idea what to read, what to write in other book and the second one, because here I'm just covered body, brain, the body, and 4 basic emotions: happy, joy, anger, fear, and worry. So I have so much to tell you about, for example, sad emotions or others. and I want to continue, but I really want your feedback. When you read it, please, I have this in the last page link where you can go to and leave your feedback. Again, for me as a new author, how I said previously, who just discovered this ability in myself, I didn't want to be an author, but this is
You you were called to it
something,
again.
yes, something what is inside me. And I will be very appreciate if you can share what you love in this book, what you want to improve, what your children think about it. So thank you so much for reading it.
Absolutely. And Oksana's own book, which is coming out this week, is focus on the title itself. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah, focus on emotions. Excuse me. Focus on emotions, the kid's guide to themselves. And I love that it is something that is written to kids, for them to kind of invest in themselves. And it's amazing that they can do it at that age. I think so many of us didn't start investing in ourselves until after college. During school, it's kind of like, this is what you have to read, this is what you have to present on, these are the topics we want you to look at. Once you leave college, you can start focusing on what you want to focus on. So I think it's great that kids have a tool like that, Oksana's book. And then the other book that we covered for the main conversation of the podcast is Limitless: Upgrade Your Brain, Learn Anything Faster, and Unlock Your Exceptional Life by Jim Kwik. Oksana, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting.
Absolutely. And if there's anything that I might have missed, anything that you're curious about, either in the Limitless book or Oksana's own book, when that's coming out, please let me know. Reach out, email me, and I will reach out to her, see what kind of additional guidance, insight, knowledge I can get back. In the meantime, thank you for watching and thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.